I just wanted to open up today's show with a simple question. What is your top priority as a Golden State Warriors fan? Is it to build for the future, or is it do whatever it takes to get Steph Curry his fifth championship ring? Sound off for me down in the comments section. The reason I asked that question at the top of today's show is because on today's edition of Warriors Today by Chat Sports, we finally hear what Steph has to say about the Kuminga situation. And look, he didn't go into full detail. We know how Curry is a pro's pro, so he's never going to reveal his entire hand of cards. But he did have comments to make about the whole Kuminga situation as Golden State and Jonathan Kuminga remain at an impasse with his restricted free agency. Here's what Steph had to say. He said, it's a combination of all of it. There's obviously some stuff that I know about and talking about that isn't necessarily public, and that's the way it's supposed to be, the way our organization is run. Me, Draymond, and Jimmy are trying to make sure we're prepared individually and collectively to lead our team where we're supposed to go. No mention of Jonathan Kuminga and his future with the Golden State Warriors. He's saying that he's having the conversations, but we really can't get too public about any of it, which signals to me that Steph is not all that keen on Jonathan Kuminga coming back to the Golden State Warriors next season. That's just me assuming. Again, I'm not reporting anything right there. I'm just saying that just the vibe, the overall vibe that we've gotten throughout this process is that Curry would rather have another player or a more complimentary player next to him than Jonathan Kuminga does. And there's a couple reasons why. And we heard back in May from Curry himself kind of this similar sentiment, like hope the future is bright for him, whether it's here or whether it's wherever. Like, he's not begging for Jonathan Kuminga to be back in a Golden State Warriors jersey. He's not saying that we need Jonathan Kuminga back in a Golden State Warriors jersey next season and beyond. And if you guys remember, why did Kuminga get the DNPs in the first place at the end of the regular season and into the first round of the playoffs? Because he didn't play well next to a top 10 basketball player that's ever lived. Somebody that he should be trying to set up for success rather than himself, Steph Curry. Remember what Logan Murdoch reported back at the beginning of the offseason, saying that despite his talent, Kuminga's propensity, to look for his shot at the expense of the flow of the Golden State offense has irked the coaching staff. Just during a late season game against the Portland Trailblazers, team sources say Kerr was incensed after several instances in which Kuminga looked off Steph Curry to create his own offense. You think Curry had an opinion about that? You think he was just totally silent about that whole situation? It doesn't take a genius to realize that Steph Curry probably had a hand in Jonathan Kuminga getting DNP. Maybe not DNP'd as a whole, but he had a conversation with Steve Kerr, I'm sure, and they went over the fact that, Kuminga's going into business for himself rather than not only trying to benefit me, which benefits the rest of the team, but benefiting the rest of the team as a whole. Kuminga does not fit next to Steph, does not fit next to Jimmy, does not fit next to Draymond Green, and he doesn't want to fit. He wants to look for himself and what's in the best interest of Jonathan Kuminga and getting his box score looking nice and pretty after the end of the game rather than, his team winning or not. And we've heard from a bunch of people throughout the league. Stan Van Gundy said it a couple days ago. Kuminga is either he's a high-volume scorer on a bad basketball team, and I would love to go see him flourish and make a bunch of money and do all that, but it's not going to be in Golden State. As far as teammates that have been big advocates for Jonathan Kuminga throughout this process, I'd say that Draymond Green has been the biggest advocate. I mean, everything that we've heard here from Steph is like, it seems kind of indifferent on the whole situation and would probably have a bigger smile on his face if Kuminga wasn't on the roster next year in favor of a more complimentary player. But Draymond's been his biggest advocate. Remember what he said back at the beginning of the offseason? He said that you're going to have to evaluate Jonathan Kuminga, right? Like, we all know his talent. We all believe in what he could be. But now you got to make a huge financial commitment. See, he's walking it back a little bit. One thing's for certain, though, whether it's here or somewhere else, he's going to get paid and he's going to have a very bright future. He proved himself. So he's giving him his flowers. He's giving him kudos and all that stuff. But he's also recognizing that the best future for Jonathan Kuminga might not be with the Golden State Warriors. And throughout both of those quotes, throughout anything that we've heard from the Golden State Warriors teammates this offseason, I still have yet to hear, we need this guy back. I can't win without Jonathan Kuminga being a member of the Golden State Warriors next season. Jonathan Kuminga is imperative to the success of this team in the 25-26 season. I have yet to hear that from Steph. I have yet to hear that from Draymond Green. I have yet to hear that from Jimmy Butler because Kuminga doesn't fit next to those guys, and he clearly doesn't want to fit next to those guys. So until I hear those things, like, I just can't move off my stance that bringing back Jonathan Kuminga is going to create more problems than it's going to solve. And one day, Joe Lacob, the front office, the people upstairs, they're going to realize that. I just can't wait to say I told you so. What do you guys think? What's your confidence in a lineup that features all three of these cats? Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. What's your confidence level in a lineup that features three non-floor spacers? Scale it for me down in the comment section, 1 through 10. 1 meaning that this is cooked. Never put these three on the floor at the same time. 10 meaning it's going to work. We put our best players all on the floor at once. Let me know what you guys think down below. Next, we're going to talk about a part of the Kuminga saga that we really haven't touched on too much. Could the Warriors and Kuminga come to a sort of compromise? Could they meet in the middle as the two sides are playing a game of chicken right now and nobody is moving? We'll talk about that possibility and what it could look like in just a moment. But get hooked up with this awesome, awesome deal as the Warriors City jerseys. They're going to be getting a new one this year, but I thought the colorway that they had 24-25 was really, really awesome with that navy, that red, and that yellow. You can get this Nike heavyweight tee, high quality stuff right here for $35. I think it's an awesome deal. I'm going to get one for myself to rock on the watch parties for next season. You can too. Chatsports.com/dubscity. That's chatsports.com/dubscity. Don't worry, you don't have to type it all out. I put it in the comment section and description of today's video. Go click that link and get yourself hooked up with some fresh Warriors gear today. All right, so we know there's two factors at play with Kuminga's current free agency situation. One, the Warriors are not budging off of the 2 years, $45 million deal that they have on the table right now. That includes a team option. It's really 1 year, $21.5 million with no guaranteed money in the second year. If they were to sign a deal like that, it would carry with it a no-trade clause. Golden State's only going to sign pen to paper if Kuminga waives that no-trade clause so they can just send him wherever they want around February. Now, Jonathan Kuminga, on his side of things, he is threatening to sign the $7.9 million qualifying offer that's out there right now. That carries a no-trade clause that cannot be waived. He would have full control of his future, but as far as his near future goes, I don't know how much control he would have over that as far as getting out on the floor this upcoming season. I mean, if he's making $8 million, why does Steve Kerr have to play him big-time minutes? I would presume that he would have just as inconsistent of a role if he accepted the qualifying offer as he did this past season and into the postseason. Now, let's just say for fun, under the assumption here, I don't know if this is going to happen because at the end of the day, it just makes no sense for Kuminga to forego all that money and look to 2026 with so much uncertainty, more question marks than he has on his plate right now. Like, it makes no sense for him to accept the qualifying offer, and it puts Golden State in a really, really bad situation as well. So let's see. What if Golden State, loses this staring contest? What if they lose this game of chicken and call and believe Kuminga's threats? They believe that he's going to go and sign that qualifying offer. Well, then they would have to kind of shift gears a little bit. They would have to pivot and rework this deal in some sort of way. Ramona Shelburne had a little bit more on this in that ESPN report that we talked about yesterday, saying you're going to have to, I think he's going to be on the Warriors. And the only question is, how much are they paying him? I think it's an easy solution here, which is the Warriors give him an extra year. It'll be like a 2+1 where he has a little more control, a little more guaranteed money. Look, I don't know if it would be a 2+1. What would Golden State rather do here? Would they rather do a 2+1, 2 fully guaranteed years, and then a team option on the third, or would rather do guaranteed a little bit of money in the second year and just do a player option 1+1? Like, I think they want as little future commitment to Jonathan Kuminga as possible. So, and that's evident in the deal that they have on the table right now. So I would go with a 1+1 with a player option. That's something that our guy Tim Kawakami has talked about previously. We'll talk about that offer that he made in just a little bit. But overall, like, I keep landing right here. It makes no sense to me, this whole Kuminga situation. He wants long-term security from a team that doesn't want to give him long-term security and a team that he also doesn't want to be on moving forward because he feels like that they limit his capabilities as a basketball player. I understand this whole decision-making process with JK is more about situation than money, but you got to look out for yourself a little bit, brother. This place is not going to let you be the player that you want to be, so why don't you give them the freedom to send you somewhere where that's a greater possibility. You have a greater chance at blossoming into the multi-time all-star that you believe yourself to be. Wanting long-term security from a team that doesn't want to give it to you is just you're running in circles. And especially considering you don't want to be a part of that team at all. So it makes this whole Kuminga situation makes no sense for me. And there's two situations that could be at play here. He's either trade, and both situations conclude with him leaving the team. So if he accepts the Warriors offer here, he's traded by the deadline. If he accepts the qualifying offer, he's gone in July in unrestricted free agency. And who knows what type of deal he's going to get at this point. This is a major risk. This obviously on the onset seems way better for Jonathan Kuminga. He can just play out this year under his control and then just go sign somewhere else in July. There is a lot of risk carried with that. How big of a role is he going to have? What's his production going to be like next to Steph, Jimmy, Draymond, and for a full season now? Like, it is a lot of risk that carries with that. So we'll see what Kuminga ends up doing. But we're operating under the assumption that Golden State is believing Kuminga's threats of signing that qualifying offer. So amending the deal would be the only way that Golden State could kind of save face here and they could recoup some of their assets. Like, not have Kuminga in a situation where he's playing for $8 million. They can't trade him and he's just gone, as good as gone next summer. So they'd have to amend the deal in some capacity. And I think amending the deal at least gives Kuminga and his side a little bit of confidence that Golden State is willing to try to make things work with him on the basketball court. So I think it would be best case scenario for both sides. If we want to avoid as much awkwardness as possible, even considering that they're still going to trade him at some point next season, just amend the deal and get it done in some fashion before this thing gets really ugly. Tim Kawakami said the following about his deal that he proposed, that he said it's probably not yet time for the grand compromise, but it will be time eventually. When it happens, it likely should involve the Warriors upping the guarantee in the second year of their offer from $0 to perhaps around $14 million. So the total guarantee would be above $30 million over the 2 years. And by giving him a second-year guarantee, the Warriors would wipe out Kuminga's right to block a trade next season. So remember, with that 2-year deal they have on the table right now, Kuminga can just have the no-trade clause out there. He can refuse to waive that, but Golden State obviously doesn't want to accept it in that scenario. In this scenario, Kuminga gets 2 years, $35 million guaranteed, and it'll probably still end up in him finding a new destination next offseason. That money will all get kind of washed away, and he'll just be on a completely new deal with a brand new team. So that's what makes the most sense to me right now. You can keep the same money and the same contract figure in the first year, just guarantee a little bit of the second year money, and we can get this thing over with. I really don't want to wait until October 1st. Who do you guys think wins the staring contest? Who calls whose bluff the longest? Warriors type W, Kuminga type JK. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Are they going to is Kuminga going to accept this qualifying offer? I would be absolutely mortified if that was the case. It would doom this team potentially for years to come. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Didn't want to doom and gloom you guys there at the end of today's show, but that might be the situation that we find ourselves in. Keep us in the loop, though, as we bring you guys the best and most consistent Warriors content on YouTube all off season long. We'll see you guys in the next one, and as always, let's go Dubs.